Child's silver bracelet. The little girl never knocked. She simply stood on the front porch of Dawson Ranch, shivering beneath a worn brown coat, while snowflakes melted into her dark hair. Beside her stood a tired young widow whose boots were so worn that icy water seeped through the cracked leather. Cole Dawson had seen desperate people before. The brutal winter of 1889 had driven proud ranchers into poverty, emptied barns, and turned strong men into beggars. But something about this woman wasn't begging. She held her head too high. The ranch hands watched from the stable as Cole stepped onto the porch. "What can I do for you, ma'am?" he asked. The woman hesitated before answering. "My name is Emma Brooks." The name struck him like distant thunder. He hadn't heard it spoken in 12 years. Before Cole could react, the little girl reached for her mother's hand, causing the sleeve of her coat to slide back. A silver bracelet caught the fading afternoon light. Cole's heartbeat stopped. It wasn't just any bracelet. It was handmade. Tiny mountain flowers had been carved into the silver by someone with limited experience but endless patience. Near the clasp were two small initials. CD. His own. Cole stared at it, unable to breathe. He had carved that bracelet himself beneath the old riverside oak when he was 23 years old. There had only ever been one. He had given it to the woman he intended to marry. Emma quietly noticed where his eyes had settled. Without saying a word, she gently pulled the girl's sleeve back over the bracelet. "I only need shelter for tonight," she whispered. Outside, thunder rolled across the Wyoming mountains. The first heavy snow of the season was arriving fast. Cole forced himself to step aside. "You'll freeze before reaching the next town." Emma lowered her eyes. "We've already walked 20 miles. For several seconds, nobody moved. Finally, Cole nodded. "Come inside." The warmth of the ranch house wrapped around them almost immediately. Lily stood silently beside the fireplace, stretching her frozen hands toward the flames while Emma remained near the doorway as though she wasn't certain she belonged under the same roof. Mrs. Evelyn Harper, Cole's elderly housekeeper, hurried from the kitchen carrying warm soup and fresh bread. "Oh, those poor souls," she whispered. Within minutes the table was prepared. Lily smiled for the first time that day. It wasn't a loud smile. It was the cautious smile of a child who had learned not to expect kindness. Cole watched her carefully. She had Emma's gentle smile. But her gray-blue eyes. Those eyes reminded him painfully of his own reflection. He quickly looked away. Perhaps it was coincidence. Nothing more. After supper, Lily wandered toward the enormous front window overlooking the snow-covered ranch. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "You've never seen a ranch before?" Cole asked. She shook her head. "We lived in small towns." Emma answered before Lily could continue. "My husband worked wherever he could." Cole felt the word husband settle heavily inside his chest. Of course. 12 years had passed. Life had continued. For both of them. Or at least that was what he'd always tried convincing himself. That night, the storm trapped everyone inside. Wind slammed against the windows, snow piled halfway up the porch. Travel became impossible. Mrs. Harper prepared guest rooms upstairs while Cole remained alone beside the fireplace, staring into the flames. His thoughts refused to stay in the present. Instead, they carried him back 12 years. Back to another winter. Another promise. Another life. In the spring of 1877, Cole Dawson wasn't the wealthiest rancher in the valley. He owned only a small piece of land inherited from his late father. Most people believed he would lose it within a year, only Emma never doubted him. They had grown up less than 3 miles apart. As children, they raced horses through open meadows, climbed cottonwood trees, and spent endless afternoons fishing beside the Sweetwater River. Friendship slowly became love. Neither one remembered exactly when it happened. One warm evening beneath an ancient oak tree, Cole nervously handed Emma a tiny wooden box. Inside rested a simple silver bracelet. "I know it's not much," he had admitted. "I made it myself." Emma smiled through happy tears. "I wouldn't trade it for all the gold in Wyoming." That same evening they promised to marry before autumn. Every family in the valley expected the wedding. It felt as certain as sunrise. Until everything fell apart. Only 3 weeks before the ceremony, the county sheriff arrived at Dawson Ranch with 6 deputies. Cole was accused of stealing nearly 200 cattle belonging to a powerful ranch owner. The accusation sounded ridiculous. Everyone who truly knew Cole understood he would rather starve than steal. But someone had prepared convincing evidence. Branded cattle had mysteriously appeared inside Cole's grazing land. Forged records claimed he had secretly sold livestock across the state border. Several paid witnesses swore they had seen him leading stolen cattle at night. Cole protested his innocence. No one listened. He spent 4 miserable months locked inside the county jail while lawyers argued over evidence he had never seen before. By the time a traveling federal investigator uncovered the truth, that the records had been falsified and the witnesses bribed, the damage had already been done. Cole walked free. But Emma was gone. Neighbors told him she had left without saying goodbye. Some claimed she had married another man. Others insisted she had moved east. No one knew for certain. Cole searched for months. Every trail ended the same way. Silence. Eventually, he buried his grief beneath endless work. Year after year he expanded the ranch. He bought neighboring land after harsh winters forced struggling ranchers to sell. People admired his success. None of them realized that every new fence he built only surrounded a heart that had never truly healed. The crackling fire pulled Cole back to the present. Footsteps echoed softly behind him. Emma stood quietly at the edge of the room. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Cole broke the silence. "I searched for you." Emma closed her eyes. "So did I." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked toward the staircase where Lily was sleeping peacefully upstairs. Tears gathered in her eyes. "I believed you abandoned me." Cole stared at her in disbelief. "I believed exactly the same about you." Neither understood how two people who had loved each other so completely could have believed opposite lies. Emma reached into the pocket of her coat and removed an old bundle of faded letters tied together with a blue ribbon. "They're the reason," she whispered. Cole looked at the letters but made no move to touch them. His instincts told him those yellowed pages carried the answer to 12 years of heartbreak. Emma slowly placed them on the table between them. Then she looked directly into his eyes for the first time since arriving. Her voice trembled. "Cole, before this storm ends, I have to tell you who Lily really is." The words hung in the room like the silence after a gunshot. "I have to tell you who Lily really is." Cole didn't move. The fire cracked softly between them, but neither of them seemed to hear it anymore. Emma slowly picked up one of the faded letters and handed it to him. "You never wrote these." Cole unfolded the paper. At first glance, the handwriting looked remarkably similar to his own. But after reading only 3 lines, his stomach tightened. "Emma, I have realized our future together was only youthful foolishness. I have accepted a better opportunity elsewhere. Please do not look for me." Cole's hands began shaking. "I never wrote this." "I know," Emma whispered. "I believed it for years." She untied the rest of the bundle. There were 6 of them. Each letter carried another lie. Each one pushed her farther away from the man she loved. Cole looked up, his gray eyes burning with disbelief. "I never stopped loving you." A tear slipped down Emma's cheek. "I never stopped loving you either." She took a slow breath before speaking the words that had lived inside her heart for more than a decade. The night before you were arrested. Cole already knew. His breathing became shallow. Emma looked toward the staircase where Lily slept peacefully. I found out a month later that I was carrying your baby. Time itself seemed to stop. Cole lowered himself into a chair as though his legs no longer belonged to him. His eyes slowly filled with tears. Lily. Emma nodded. She's your daughter. For several long seconds, no one spoke. Then something inside Cole finally broke. He covered his face with both hands. 12 birthdays. 12 Christmas mornings. 12 years of scraped knees, bedtime stories, first words, and first steps. Gone. Not because he chose to leave. Because someone had stolen them. I've missed her entire life. Emma knelt beside him. No. He looked at her. They stole those years from both of us. The next morning the storm finally passed. Bright sunlight reflected across untouched snow. Cole walked outside with Lily. She had never ridden a horse before. Dusty, Cole's oldest gelding, patiently lowered his head while Lily giggled nervously. He's bigger than I imagined. Cole smiled. He thinks the same thing about people. Lily laughed. It was the happiest sound the ranch had heard in years. Cole carefully lifted her into the saddle. There. She looked down. I'm really riding. You sure are. She looked unbelievably proud. Would you teach me someday? Cole felt emotion tighten his throat. I'd be honored. Without thinking, Lily reached down and hugged him. It lasted only a few seconds. But for Cole, it felt like recovering 12 lost years in a single heartbeat. From the porch, Emma quietly wiped away tears. That afternoon an unexpected visitor arrived. A black horse stopped outside the ranch house. Its rider removed his hat with practiced confidence. Victor Hale. The former ranch foreman. 12 years earlier he had worked beside Cole every day. Now expensive clothes replaced dusty work shirts. Money had clearly found him. So, Victor smiled coldly. I hear old ghosts have returned. Cole stepped onto the porch. What do you want? Victor's smile never reached his eyes. Just making sure everyone stays buried where they belong. Emma turned pale. She recognized him immediately. You. Victor looked directly at her. I warned you years ago that the truth would only ruin lives. Cole frowned. What truth? Victor chuckled softly, the truth that some people deserve happiness, and others don't. Then he rode away. But not before leaving one final warning. If I were you, Dawson, I'd stop digging through the past. That night Cole couldn't sleep. Victor's words kept repeating inside his mind. He grabbed an old lantern and walked toward an abandoned cabin hidden behind the northern pasture. It had once belonged to his late father. Almost no one visited it anymore. Inside, dust covered everything. Broken furniture leaned against the walls. Old saddles hung from wooden pegs. Then Cole noticed something strange. Fresh boot prints. Someone had been there recently. Near the fireplace, several loose floorboards had been disturbed. He pried them open. Beneath them rested a rusted metal box. Inside lay an old ranch ledger. A leather-bound journal. And dozens of folded documents. As he turned the pages, every missing piece finally came together. Victor had secretly accepted thousands of dollars from rival ranch owner Amos Turner. In exchange, Victor had planted stolen cattle on Cole's land. He forged sales records. He bribed witnesses. Most horrifying of all. The journal described intercepting every letter exchanged between Cole and Emma. Victor had written fake letters in both their names. He believed separating them would force Emma into marrying Amos Turner's wealthy son, creating a business alliance that benefited everyone except the two people actually in love. Cole closed the journal. His hands trembled with anger. 12 years. Destroyed for money. 3 days later the entire town gathered inside the county meeting hall. Cole laid the journal on the sheriff's desk. One by one witnesses came forward. A retired deputy admitted Victor had pressured him to ignore missing evidence. An elderly blacksmith identified the custom metal stamp Victor had used to forge cattle records. Finally, the town's former schoolteacher recognized Victor's handwriting. She had graded his essays years before. It matches perfectly. Victor's confidence disappeared, sweat rolled down his forehead. You can't prove everything. Cole quietly placed one final item on the table. The original practice pages Victor had hidden inside the journal. Dozens of attempts copying Cole's handwriting. There was nowhere left to run. Victor slowly lowered his head. I only wanted a better future. You stole ours, Emma answered. Silence filled the room. The sheriff stepped forward. Victor Hale, you're under arrest. For the first time in 12 years. Justice finally arrived. Spring returned to Wyoming. Snow melted into wildflowers. The valley looked alive again. One quiet evening Cole led Emma and Lily back to the old riverside oak where everything had begun. The same tree still stood proudly beside the water. Its branches had grown wider. Stronger. Much like the love that had survived beneath them. Cole reached into his pocket. This time he held not a bracelet, but a simple wedding ring. I can't give us back 12 lost years. His voice shook. But if you'll let me, I'd like to spend every year we have left making up for them. Emma smiled through tears. I've been waiting 12 years to answer that question again. Yes. Lily clapped excitedly. I knew she'd say yes. They all laughed. For the first time, it wasn't laughter hiding pain. It was the sound of a family finally becoming whole. That June, the little white church overlooking the valley filled with neighbors, ranchers, and old friends. Emma walked down the aisle wearing a simple cream-colored dress. Lily carried wildflowers she had picked herself that morning. When the preacher pronounced them husband and wife, the entire church erupted in applause. Outside, the summer wind rolled gently across the open fields. Cole looked at Emma, then at Lily. He realized something no amount of wealth could ever buy. The greatest ranch he would ever build wasn't measured in acres. It was the family standing beside him. Sometimes love doesn't lose to time. Sometimes it simply waits. Until the truth is finally brave enough to come home.